The D'Amico Show starts now.
Welcome to the D'Amico Show. I'm Steve D'Amico, joined here today with Gianni Saltalamacchia, as well as Katie Lyons. Katie Lyons is an educator who will soon be a full-time teacher, and Gianni is a comedian and podcaster. Today we are going to discuss family life. We're all at the age of in our 30s, correct?
Thank you.
We're all in our 30s. We'll go with that.
I'm knocking on 40's door, but that's okay.
We're all still, she just turned 30. You're on the other side of 30. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Other side.
I actually met Gianni at a open mic, and when I was listening to his set, it was cracking me up hearing some of his stories about his upbringing. So I wanted to start off just going into that a little bit more. Can you tell us what it was like growing up and the different things you went through with your family, I guess?
Well, I mean, the main thing that we connected about my father, my bit that I open up with is, about my father being gay, right? Like I just, the first
classic.
Yeah, the first thing I say is just like, so my father's gay, right? You don't expect that. Like, it's just like, that's a heavy thing, right? Because then you think like, well, how did that happen, right? Because every time you meet somebody, not every time, I guess for me, when you meet somebody and like they're gay and they have kids, well, they're adopted or they, whatever. So my dad came out late, in life, he was probably 50, in his late 50s, early 60s when he came out. And I had the hints, and that's part of my bits too. Like it's, I kind of, like his job, like he wasn't this like totally flamboyantly gay dude. Like it wasn't like,
what was his job?
When did you walk in on him with a dress on?
Yeah, he's a wedding planner, right? So that's typically,
okay.
That's
planning the weddings he wasn't legally allowed to have for himself.
But he killed it doing the gay weddings in Boston. It was, so wow. I mean, we were one of the first states to legalize the gays getting married. So I mean, he kind of flourished with that, I guess.
So was he married to your mom? Were they separated?
Well, yeah, they had got divorced when I was a senior in high school, so that was like 2002, right? And then we lived together, me and him. I paid rent. I wasn't like a shithead, and it was cool. We vibed, and and then it was just like, you hadn't had a girlfriend in years, right? All right, well, maybe, and my mom, she talks about her marriage was normal, as normal as can be. And then he, a friend kept coming around, and it's like, all right, I kind of think I know where this is going. And then it was funny. Wow. He came out of the closet. This is another bit of mine. He comes out of the closet to me and he's like, Johnny, I'm gay. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like you're not fooling anybody anymore, right? Like, and it was weird. It was at the end of a wedding. We were both drunk, and he comes out to me. He's like, "Oh, I'm gay," and I'm like, "Yeah." Like,
I think
no
that's
shit.
the best answer you can get is like, "Yeah, I know." Yeah. It's like that you really knew that person so well that it's not any news to them at all.
Nope.
So you clearly knew your dad. Did you have a relationship with him, or?
Well, yeah, no, I was the best man in his wedding to a dude. Like
right.
He caught the jock strap when he threw it over, threw it over his head.
You can be as like pump your chest out, liberal, for gay rights as possible until you're somebody who's very close to you comes out of the closet, right? And then you're like, oh, like it really, like I felt when we first came out, I was like, I thought about my mom, and then what are people going to think? And how's that going to affect me? And he was holding on to that boulder on the back of his, because he didn't want to lose our relationship. So that's what he said after he did it. But he was holding on to that boulder for so long that when he dropped it, it was like, hello, like
it is like a weight lifted off your shoulders for sure.
Do you think he told your mom, like when they split it, he just wanted to split and still kept it to himself, like this marriage isn't working, or did he tell her at that point?
No, it was like they split. Then it was years later when I have a boyfriend now, so
he's like, look, I can't always be topping, like I need more out of this marriage.
I want to be, I don't, yeah. It's always fascinated me, dude. That whole lifestyle is like you're either a top or a bottom, or you're both, or it's just like, sometimes I wish I like cock, because it's just like.
Do you feel like you're like
the straight
every world marriage is like too like vanilla? Like do you feel like monogamy is like going out the door
a little
for
bit.
for everyone, even like in the straight world, or is it just kind of
It's
And
like so accepted to like be just enter new people, or like in the gay
people,
no, but like have like group things, and not that I want that in my straight marriage, but it just fascinates me that that's like such a part of it, because dudes are just like it's always on the top of their mind. In my experience is sex, and then you get another guy that's all and it's just like, let's invite Steve over and let's do it. It's like, it's fascinating to me. But are all gay dudes just like that, or is it just like?
This is what I found within my research, and I've done
extensive
research. Extensive research. I think there's gay people who are constantly horny. Like, there's men that are constantly horny, but it can be for a number of reasons. It could be because you're depressed or anxious, or you're developing like an addiction to sex. And a lot of gay men, and probably women too, but maybe not as much, because I feel like men overall have that more, that sex drive, that
primal like release. That's just like, like.
Women are definitely horny though too. Like they're,
it's more emotional.
It's more emotional, where it's different. I mean, I just newly started dating a girl a year ago. She's my first girlfriend, and it's so different because like you're both emotional this time, where it's not like I've been dating guys my whole life and it's like, you're being an idiot, what are you doing? And they're like, and they apologize. Whereas like this time, if we're mad about something, it's like both parties are upset.
Right.
And it's almost like,
you made me feel.
It's a bucket of water on like
just idiots.
A friggin' massive fire almost.
Is there a lesbian version of Grindr? Is there like a muffler where women are like
muffler? Yeah.
Where like women are on there like cruising for sex all day long. That's what I mean. Like there's more of this.
No, but you can tell. Like you can tell when a girl is like always flirting with other girls,
right.
trying to even get like. I can't even get over. I think the biggest surprise to me in the gay world, entering the gay world like publicly, was the fact there are so many closeted women, and there's so many women that are like a little homophobic about it. Like, oh my God, don't look at me like that. It's like, I'm not even looking at you. But also how interested and fascinated they are in it.
Well, that's the new thing now. There's heteroflexible, and this is what I'm noticing on apps like Field. I don't know if you've ever been on that, but it's basically...
No, I never heard of it.
It's an app where there's like singles and couples, and a lot of men and a lot of women identify as heteroflexible, meaning there's some sexual attraction to the same sex, but no emotional attraction at all to the same sex. So to me, that means like the exploration might be built in curiosity. It might be built in, like I've always wanted to, from a woman's perspective, I've always wanted to like play with like large breasts. I don't have big breasts, but like they have some kind of physical attraction or pull into that. So there's way more experimentation. I feel like that's always been the case, but now it's not as shamed.
Right.
It's not like you dip your toe into the water, like 1%, you're gay. You know what I mean? That's what it used to be. Like if you do anything that same sex, you're gay.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like that's what we're seeing now more. And we're also seeing relationships getting to that point, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, where they now are saying, we're not going to divorce. Why don't we like experiment and explore? And it's never been easier, because before it would be like, you have to go on a cruise to do that, or you have to like put a pineapple on your front door or whatever it is. Like now it's like, no, you just download an app and you see how many people are also down for that within like 30 miles, and there's like thousands.
I mean, when I first signed up for Bumble, it was barely like single girls that just wanted to hook up or get a girlfriend. It was a girl like with like, I'm so interested, da 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 da, and then like slide in last sentence, and my boyfriend will be there. Or there are so many friggin' guys that are using their girlfriends to snag another girl and reel them in for a three-way. It is insane. It makes up at least 90% of your swipes. And it's like, I've been on literally a date where the girl tricked me, right? She wanted to go out on a date. She acted like she was attracted to me, all that. And then after like 2 or 3 dates, she literally was like, oh, my boyfriend's coming to pick me up. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, he wanted to know if like you wanted to come over and we can all hang out. And I was like, no, I mean, this is not what I'm in for right now. And even if like he was more interested than she was like, oh no, I don't swing that way. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing with me on 2 or 3 dates? Like,
It's like he sent her out there to like scout and like
Yes.
disarm you, where it's like, okay, like
It's a
get
girl.
her
They're
comfortable.
not going to hurt
Comfortable,
me.
and then like have
Yeah.
a connection almost, and then go, oh, well, I want this to go somewhere. My question, I got to backtrack a little bit. What now? Like you were with dudes? Were you like married or just
No.
you just kind of with dudes
But
because
you're
Marriage
almost
scares
engaged,
me.
right? Were you engaged or almost?
No,
engaged?
my ex-boyfriend definitely was like looking at rings and wanted to get engaged.
But did you know the whole time? Like, did you know the
He
whole
wanted
time?
to lock me down because he knew something wasn't right, and he was so insecure. He was like, "I gotta have this."
Is that
girl.
true? You think that is actually going on, like subconsciously, where he felt like he couldn't keep your?
Did he
attention?
know though, like that you
No,
were?
he never could, and I would like from the start. And I know it sounds horrible saying that, but it was like 6 months into the relationship, I knew he was a little tapped. And I'm a little tapped too, but like I would like beg him to go to therapy. He'd be like, "Of course, I'll do it. I'll do anything to keep this." And then, a few months go by and he's like, "I'm not doing that."
So were you always attracted to women, and just
Yes.
you were I'm going to go
Yes.
down this route of this being straight because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Absolutely. I was always attracted to women. In fact, I had a conversation with my mom, which she remembers this too. When I was like, I don't know, like 9 years old or something, I was sitting at the top of the staircase in Hudson and I was just crying. And I was like, "Mom, like, this isn't easy. Like, I wish I was a guy. I wish I was a boy. And that would make all of this so much easier." And she was like, "Why do you wish you were a boy? Like, why?" And I was like, everything's easier. They don't have to worry about their hair. They don't have to worry about this. But I think like looking back, that was such a pivotal point of me being like, oh, just being a guy would be more accepted to like girls, because clearly I'm finding an attraction in women at such a young age that it would just be easier if I was a guy, and it could be acceptable to do that.
Do you think your mom picked up on that when she used to ask you if you want anything for dinner? Your response was usually pussy, wasn't it? Like, I don't know if like she was like, is that
Pussy
Tuna
casserole.
fish every night. Oh, surprisingly for like
Instead
a
of
girl that
meatloaf,
like
a twat
girls,
loaf.
I hate when people are heating up tuna fish. I'm like, that is disrespectful. Get that out of here.
Who eats up tuna fish?
At my job, people do that
People
a
heat
lot.
up canned tuna.
They not canned tuna, but like a tuna fish sandwich, and
Oh.
I get like really.
A hot tuna fish. Oh, there's a tuna.
I get
melt.
really upset when people do that. It's not
I
respectful.
only like tuna in the form of sushi. Something about it in the
Yes.
can, that smell.
Yeah,
I
I'm not a
I
cat.
feel like it's cat food. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cat food, and
is
it's
cat food.
offensive to me.
It is offensive.
So did you come up to him and go, this is a problem, or did you like cheat on him because you were ashamed?
Yeah,
Like,
Oh,
or-
how did
not-
you
not-
know?
Let's go back to
Oh, man.
your
Here we
relationship
go.
with him, and like let's get the full story, because
right.
I really don't know a lot of it.
And I feel like you met him. Maybe
I
met
did-
him,
I
or
did.
you met him, and like,
met him on Grindr.
do you remember the things?
Prime
Like,
dinner.
I'm not naming any names, but like, do you remember the little stories I would tell you about him? Like, he was really controlling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to that brewery. We went to Dogtooth. Is that
Dogtooth, greater good.
Greater Good.
Yeah, greater good. But yeah,
Where's Dogtooth?
Dogtooth. I don't know. It sounds like a beer name.
It's my orthodontist.
But it was just it was just weird because like if we were in a place, he was really controlling, and at first I thought it was like endearing because I came from like a household where like it literally didn't matter where you were as long as you like returned alive. That's all that mattered. But with this guy, he would check in on me all the time, be like, "What are you doing now? How are you doing?" And I thought it was really endearing. I was like, "Oh, this guy really cares about me, and he really cares about my well-being." And then I would like tell people,
So did Jeffrey Dahmer.
yeah. And then I would be telling people this like
got a
these
great
stories and about like how he would like position where I'm going in like a concert or something like that. And like
That's extreme.
remember that? Like he would like
He's like
literally
choreographing you.
he would like pull me certain directions. If I was talking to the freaking bartender and asked them for a drink, and if I locked eyes with them too long, this guy was like, "What was that?" Like it was something even in my wildest dreams, I'd be like, "Why are you insecure about this?" That it turned me off completely. And it's not to say like, I definitely have had an attraction, a connection with men. Like that's why people are like coming up to me. They're
Me
like,
too.
"Are you
I mean-
lesbian? Are you bi?" I'm like, I don't know. I know I have connections with men. I have connections with women.
Were you in love with a man ever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I've been in love with a guy twice in my life.
Yeah.
So it's complicated.
So it went from him controlling you at first, like, oh, this is nice. It's like kind of like organizing me, but then it gets to the point where you're like, it's making me rehearse the cha-cha slide before a wedding. Like this is too much control, and it started turning you off. And then at that point, were you like, let me just like, were you thinking I just need to break up with him? Or were you thinking I need to break up with him and try a woman?
So it's like hard because like I fully believe in like never giving up on someone and like accepting them for their flaws, but it's like a negotiation. Like there's only so much you can take and so much you should accept from somebody.
Now, if you were in a less controlling relationship, so that obviously became suffocating, as from what you're saying. Like it's become too much.
Too much.
So did he do that because that was him, or what he saw the writing on the wall, or did that? So you say you don't give up on people. Maybe that's a character trait of yours. It's is can be damaging, but because he was so controlling, did that make the switch easier? Because if you were with a great guy, out there and he's, doing all the right things, working hard, and then wouldn't it be that much harder if you're that type of person that doesn't give up on somebody? It's like, I don't have to he's a great guy, but I want to really chase the tuna, but I can't give up on this dude.
That Stevie is like, not a fan
That's the new Star Kiss motto. Chase that too.
I mean, I've dated
Chicken
like
of the sea?
I have dated a lot of good guys in my past, and I'm not even saying this guy was a bad person.
But what was
he
the
really
thing
wasn't.
that you were like? I had it since 9, but what was the thing that go? I'm gonna completely go all in on this clam chasing.
I'll be totally honest with you. It was the moment I kept accepting the bullshit time and time again, but it was finally the moment I stopped being such a pussy and like
I see what you did there.
and a girl came up to me.
You are what you eat.
Oh, so a girl came up to you though, but like we were in the fucking supermarket, or were you at like a
No, I was at a bar.
A lesbian bar?
No, not a lesbian
Just a
bar.
regular-
I mean, it's not a lesbian bar, but my God, there are so many closeted girls there. It's
Okay,
crazy.
but so you were just at a bar by yourself or with him?
By myself. My ex went away for the weekend, and it was terrible, but I was like, oh my God, thank God. Because I had a couple seconds to breathe.
What were your intentions? Were you by yourself at this bar or with a friend?
I was by myself
So
at the
what
bar.
were your intentions?
I was looking to get away. I was looking to get away
Okay.
from that relationship. And
that
not
relationship-
be, micromanaged for a
Oh,
little
so
bit.
yeah, like a little bit. He's away. He's controlling, but he's away. I'm gonna go out and just live this night, even if it's just for one night.
Yeah, it makes me sound like a terrible person. I know, because what happened in our relationship was really toxic, but it doesn't excuse those decisions that I made to be like, all right, well, he did this, this, and this, so it's totally fine for me to cheat on him. Like, I got approached by a girl, and it was someone I knew actually from my past, that I was like shocked, totally thrown off. I had no idea that like I don't know, she doesn't even identify as swinging that way. It was just kind of like in the moment we had a connection, we used to talk, boom, one thing led to another. Nothing serious at all, but just that like light that flickered in my head.
Was that your first experience with a one?
No.
Well, and just
No,
to
it
make
was
backtrack
not.
just 1 second.
From
I wasn't
Hudson?
trying to be like, what was your intention
No.
like? I wasn't trying to be
Hudson.
like, what was your intention like? You were, I was just being like, because it was the mindset of somebody like who was close to me in a relationship and in like being a shell of themselves. And I'm just curious as to the mental.
Are you
side
relating
of
me
things.
back to your dad?
In a way, like, in a way, in a sense of like,
therapy here.
Listen.
no, as somebody who was, in a straight relationship, and then the mental side of how did I switch?
You get really sick of lying to yourself. You're not even like lying to that person at first. You
Sure.
can have all the most wonderful things in the world, but you don't want to let anybody down or be like, great, now we have to deal with this. It's like, I was so scared of letting people down and, making my family see me in a different light, making my friends see me in a different light. Like, I got so scared that my friends would think I'm like this queer weirdo that like won't change in front of me now because I'm like a freaking girl predator. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, you have like all those anxieties about like everything will be different now, everything. But when I came out finally, like I realized there were some people who are like, I know, like my mom, she literally goes, I know. My sister was the most shocked out of everybody.
Who was on the last episode of this podcast, by the way.
Was she? Yeah.
So you guys can go back. It's episode 2. Go on.
Nice. Yes, Emily, love you. Sorry. But she was definitely the most shocked, but not like shocked. I feel like she felt ashamed that she didn't know that prior to ahead of time. Because me and Emily, we are sickly close. Like we are, if she didn't have kids or Tyler, we would be sitting next to each other right now. Like we are ridiculously close sisters. We've been through a lot of shit together, and we stay the strongest, sisters ever.
Yeah.
Did you
to this
did
day.
you feel like it was something you were dying to say? Like, did you ever smoke a joint and be like, oh my God, this is coming up from my consciousness, and like
Yes.
it's like going through my head, like say it.
High
like,
school. I would like YouTube videos of girls kissing, and I would watch movies, and
Just that makes me feel old because you said when I was in high school watching YouTube, YouTube didn't even exist when I was in
well,
high
when
school.
I heard you graduate in 2002, I was like, woof, okay, we're going back.
Jesus Christ.
I graduated high school in 2011.
she's like in
Okay.
middle school on my iPhone 10. Like I would just pull
I'm like, I was like,
They were like recommended videos for me. No, I always was interested in girls. Like I was saying back to when I was
Me
9,
too.
just making that little
too, yeah.
that comment to my mom about, I didn't even know, like consciously I knew I liked girls, but I didn't know how to go about it, and I knew I was always attracted to them.
Well, I went through this mind fuck myself because then I go, if my dad made comments that he was like, he always knew he was gay, but my mom said like, and I'm not going to like go too into their relationship because I was young and I don't know, and it's not my place to even know, and I don't want to know. But my mom has expressed it. Yeah, it was a normal marriage or whatever from whatever standards that would be. But he even said, and I think because of the time, right? You said about stuff that's more accepted and more whatever,
Right.
sexuality is more, because you can connect with people without having to go to a bar. You can find these people and connect with them through the internet or apps, and then break the ice that way, right? But the mind fuck that I went is because he grew up, was born in 1955. His father was my grandfather, a Sicilian immigrant that, it was like, you're shunned. It's not okay. Right. So
you're literally working to be accepted.
He
here.
literally did not come out of the closet until his father passed away. And I think that was kind of the start of it. Now I think, and I go,
And the
if he
Sicilian
never
mob started coming after him, like there was no way he was going to come out.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like and it's just like, and I think if he never struggled with it, I'm not here. I don't exist. And then I like start going, oh my God, I shouldn't be here. Like whatever, maybe it's meant to be, or all that stuff. And it's kind of a mind fuck in that sense, and the ripple effect. And then you think about when he comes, like, what are people going to think about me and our family and my upbringing? And then it's like, who gives a fuck? He was a great dad, right? And by dad standards,
And he didn't fake any of that. He didn't fake being a good dad.
No, and that's
I'm
what I
sure
talked
he
about.
didn't fake the love he had for your mom.
Yes.
Right?
And they still were friends after they had a little rocky when they got divorced, but then they started having grandkids together, and they came back, and they were always really good friends up until his death. And so I don't know, like he was always a great dad. And that's why I talked about it at his eulogy, at his funeral. I was like, he was a great dad. Like that's all I really care about.
When did he die?
2021. So not too long ago,
pretty
right?
recent.
He wasn't really, didn't have any health ailments. He died of a heart attack, right? So then now I'm like, worried about myself because I'm fat and shit. But no, but like as you can see, I make everything about myself. But to go back to
You're
it,
a comedian. That's normal.
right? And so to go back to it though, it's like, I don't know, man. It was just like everything, what everybody else is going to think, and what everything, and it's kind of from the other side, right? I'm not the person that came out. My dad did, but you're thinking, what is it going to do to my family? What, and it does, and it's just like there are things. But then I got to a point where I don't give a fuck, and it is what it is, right? And but then there's like, like you as a kid and as a boy, right? Your father's supposed to be a macho man that works, all day, and it's this blue collar, or and. But he's a wedding planner.
Ooh, works, drinks all day. It's interchangeable. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, no, but the cookie cutter, what is a dad supposed to be? And that and a gay man can't raise a straight man, right? And things like that.
Dude,
right?
it's so funny because my situation was like the exact inverse of this. Me being gay and then having an Italian, Sicilian, macho, blue collar.
Kind of like my dad and his son. I'm sorry. My dad and his father, that situation.
So like my grandfather, my dad's father was like another echelon up of the traditional Italian values, I'll show you a ball bag you can't refuse, like that kind of stuff, where it's like growing up, I got to be careful what I say, because my dad was a great dad, but he had a lot of those old fashioned views where growing up, it would be like, oh, he's soft. That guy's soft.
Right.
Or it's like,
Little light in the loafers.
yeah, exactly. Or it's like, it was always like subconsciously implied, but that wasn't acceptable. And I grew up kind of in that environment where I even remember having a situation when I was a kid telling my parents after I had a dream, I was like, oh, I had a dream that I was kissing a guy.
Really?
And then like, I know that probably like set my dad off. My dad had a tough time with anything that happened in life that was like unexpected, like stuff that you think that
didn't abide by his plan.
Didn't abide by his plan. Stuff that's like so like not a big deal, but it would absolutely destroy him. Like for example, he's always loved basketball and he was always coaching basketball when we were growing up, and he was positioning to get the high school varsity basketball coach job. He was already assistant coach. He was connected into that world his entire life, and he was waiting to get it. And he already told all these people that he was a shoo-in. He was going to be the high school basketball varsity coach the following season. And they ended up giving the job to a teacher, someone who is connected to the school, which that happens a lot. And that person's going to get priority. Like It's not personal, but even that happening to him, like set him into a deep depression. Like he couldn't handle the fact that he thought that people were expecting him to take this position, and he thought this is how his life was going to go. And it took a turn. But logically, you just think, apply for a position at a different school. Like high schools, but they're everywhere.
That was his. So when he didn't get what he rightfully so thought was his, he worked for it. That kind of sent him over the edge.
Expectation is the leading form of resentment. Leading cause of resentment, I mean.
Either you, there's a saying like either you have zero insistence or total resistance. So like he was always insisting on certain outcomes in life, and then when it didn't happen that way, it would crush him. Not to the point where it's like, oh, I'm bummed out, like depressed, can't get off the couch, like can't get off the couch.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to get off this couch.
So that's an example of one of the things that set him off. So when I came out as gay, so I was actually,
you always knew you were gay from the jump. Whenever,
so like, funny enough, I remember going to Togo Palazzi. I don't know if you remember him. He was like a Celtics player. He had a basketball camp at Assabit, and I went there.
Trash a bit.
Just kidding. It's the vocational school.
I drove past that sign.
Now everyone that went there,
wherever the fuck we are right now. And I saw Assabit. I'm like, what the fuck is
it? Was
that?
known as Trash a Bit where we were growing up, but now everyone that went there is making way more money than the kids that actually went to college, like me.
It's not even just that. It's become a way better school.
Yeah,
I'm gonna push my son to go to a trade school just because I was raised by a gay man, and I can tie a fucking tie, but I can't and fucking plant some flowers. But I cannot fix a fucking thing in my house. So and plumbers, the average age of plumbers are 62 years old. So it's such a need. But I mean, I'm going to see, obviously whatever the fuck he wants to do, I don't care. But, it's a good, thing to go down. But like, I was raised by a gay dude. Like I could use somebody who knows how to fix my fucking toilet living in my house,
I can do interior design.
Stevie, can you fix a toilet?
Actually, I can, because I ran an Airbnb in LA for 5 or 6 years, and I did everything because I didn't want to pay out for a cleaner or anything. So I would basically run a 4-bedroom house in Hollywood, like a block from Hollywood Boulevard. And I would go there every morning and like flip this place like it was a halfway house. Anything that needed to be fixed, I was like, I'm not this like blue collar hands-on person. But I'm like, I guess I'm going to learn how to fix a tub, like, because I literally have to, or I'm going to lose money.
So what you're saying is my generalization of all gay men can't be handymen is a complete bigoted outlook on life.
I think when you put a gay man under duress, where it's like, you better fix that damn toilet. Like,
money is money, whether you're gay or not. You do not want to lose money.
They say, doesn't like a flower grow under pressure, or like whatever that saying is.
A rose grew from the concrete.
Honestly, that's true of like most of the skills I've learned. I got hired at a executive recruitment company. They're making me do IT, and I'm also not that savvy with IT. But I was like, I guess I'm rebooting the server, like, because it's like, what else are you supposed to do?
This is a funny story. So I worked in an office of mostly middle to advanced aged women. and I'm in sales and I'm doing it whatever because hotel sales is what my day job, and it's primarily women who work in that field, right? And because my dad sold weddings at a hotel, and that's how I got into it. Anyways, big setup for a bad joke. But they used to, because I was the youngest, they just thought I knew everything about computers, right? So they would be like, "Oh, my computer's doing this." I would just like literally on my phone Google it,
Right.
and then fix it. And they just thought I had that knowledge in my head. And I just was walking around
No,
life
it's you too.
knowing how to fix fucking everything. It was just like, I just Googled it.
I have an 82-year-old friend who, like, anytime she needs help with something, like, it's always like, wow, you're a real tech whiz. It's like, no, I turned on the microwave.
Yeah, right.
Now put your teeth back in.
I turned it off and turned it back on again.
It's like old people are very impressed. Oh, you're a tech whiz. Press power.
Yes. Anyways, but back to you were talking about the basketball camp.
Togo Palazzi.
Yeah.
Togo Palazzi.
Basketball
Went off
camp.
a tangent.
It was actually Togo's gay basketball camp, which was weird.
It was a Togo
Big gay
Palazzi
basketball
like
camp.
basketball
Lots of balls.
for gays and queers.
Yeah.
I went there and I remember there's twins there. That I was like, oh, these kids are cute. I was also a child's age. I was a coach. No, I was also.
I was 32.
It
was last week.
I saw those kids and I saw other guys there and I was like, oh,
well, what did you say? Well, there's two of them. So if I strike out with one, I got another shot.
Yeah.
I just remember
Or I want both
that's
of
my
them.
first memory
2
of
for
like,
1 special.
oh, my first memory of like, oh, like they're attractive.
How old were you?
Fifth grade, maybe? Fifth grade?
So that was your first record. And then from then on, it was like, now when did you come out? Like,
So, okay. Fifth grade, let's say sixth grade, I was like, okay, like I'm getting attracted to guys and not ready to confront that at all. So I just went through, I'd say.
and you didn't go to like Make Me Not Gay camp? Because I've heard of great success with that.
Oh,
I'm
God.
kidding.
No, like I think a part of me was like, I'm not going to force it. Like
Yeah.
my parents actually tried to send me to a conversion camp because I was having trouble
Really?
with fractions, but I came back even
Nice.
more focused on holes.
Nice.
Holes with the W.
So they really tried to do that too?
No.
Oh,
They
okay.
didn't.
Just a joke.
So it's like I'm the middle child. I have two brothers. It was a very traditional, masculine,
Yeah.
dominated family.
Italian.
Sicilian Italian. It's a type of
I get
like
it.
my mom gave birth and my dad barged through like the delivery room with like hockey stick basketball. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're a guy. You're like you're gonna be a guy like this. So probably from sixth grade, I developed these attractions. I was noticing them, and then I was probably repressing them at that point. And I wasn't fully going through puberty at that point either. So it was kind of like I'm noticing it, but it's like whatever. I don't have to like deal with this yet. Like,
I don't know if you were like good at hiding it, but like obviously Stevie was really close with my sister growing up, and to the point where Stevie was coming around a lot to our house that like my dad's like, oh wow, this boy keeps coming over our house with Emily. Like, who is this guy? And then, you know, you came to the Red Sox games with us. You would do things with my family and I.
Yeah.
And I just kept being like, oh, this is going to be Emily's new boyfriend. Like I
GBF.
genuinely, I remember like, I mean, you're a good guy to some extent. I just was like, oh, this is just like an emotionally available man. Like there was nothing different about it that was like, oh no, he must be gay. Like not even an inkling. Like I'm 12, 13 years old. Did I ever think you were gay? I don't think I was focusing on that at the time. It doesn't fucking matter to me.
Same
you
thing
know?
with you. It was never on my radar. But for me, I had.
And I come in with my basketball jersey and
Well,
you're like,
everybody's
oh, no,
thinking.
no.
Everybody's thinking like, you know, like everybody's always thinking about you. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody gives a shit.
It's like
Really.
if you're thinking
Everybody's
about,
in their own fucking head all
like
the time.
with the,
Right.
excep- with,
Exactly.
the with the exception of your children, if you're thinking about another human more than yourself, you have a problem.
In 99% of the time, I'm comparing my insides with your outsides, and your insides are probably more fucked than my, you know, insides are. You know, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like
yeah.
my internal dialogue, I'm comparing with your outer dialogue, and you're just putting on a front too. We're all in our own fucking heads. Nobody gives a shit about what anybody's doing.
You're like, what am I
But
going to
we
wear
think
to
everybody's.
this? What am-
It's like everybody's thinking
Yeah.
about, oh, what do
But
they
they're
think?
doing the same exact thing.
Exactly.
So while you're
Yeah.
worried that someone else is thinking about it, they are having the same experience
and
as you. As like, am I doing the right thing?
and-
Did this person like me? It's like if you go around the world like thinking the same thing, like they're not even fucking paying attention to me. What makes you so inclined that they are analyzing you head to toe. It's like they're doing the same thing
And
about
most-
themselves. So let's try and make each other like comfortable with one another and comfortable with ourselves, because that's the hardest thing to do. In
Most
this life.
people, really, when you say, what are they going to think if I come out of the closet? Most fucking people will maybe hate or whatever, but they're really fucking jealous that you can be your fucking self, and they gotta lie to themselves so they're happy in their whatever fucking marriage and or whatever their situation, their job or whatever, and you're doing your thing. 95% of the hate is just jealousy, right? But it's
or closeted gays,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
I know a lot of homophobic people that I'm like, you are one to talk.
It's
like
it's
my
like
God.
why are you focusing? This is me being like, I hate lesbians so much or whatever. It's like
I love lesbians.
why-
I watch fucking all their movies.
Why would I be?
I
it's
stole that line, but
like straight
but
straight guys that are like, I hate gay people or whatever prejudices they're displaying. It's like, why are you thinking about me? You should be thinking about women if you're straight. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about what other people do. It's like I'm focusing on what is naturally appealing to me.
Right. It's funny you say that like there's the classic jokes of like guys like loving lesbians, and I will say, like, women are like the biggest haters of lesbians. Lesbians hate lesbians. Like, but when it comes to men,
it's true of the gay
doesn't
community, too.
matter,
Men.
straight, gay, bi, whatever. Like men, I can go to dinner with my girlfriend and we're holding hands or asking what we want to eat tonight, and it's tuna fish, obviously. No, I'm just kidding. And we just literally get glares the whole time at the restaurant, or like we get literal head nods.
Not all
and
glares,
and
though.
winkings.
Not all glares.
Yeah, you were staring at me at the car, so that's different.
I got out at the same time. I thought I was like, you know what? We locked.
I go, who is this old man? Like, and he's chilling by the children's playground.
We both we just got out and looked, and we locked, and I was like, I think I just gave off creep vibes. Like, I think I did. You know.
You guys literally like walked from two different directions and like met at the same time.
And we were going. I was like, oh my God, he's following me, or like he's gonna ask if I want to go down the swing out there. It's not good.
Well, I'm not a swinger, so
not a swinger.
Well, download Field.
But it is very strange. Like, it can be flat. I don't know if it's flattering sometimes, because I'm like, obviously I'm somewhat good looking that you're looking at me, but at the same time, zero privacy when we go out. Zero.
It's fetishized where it's like, oh, two girls, like,
yeah. So you guys are just gonna go home and, you know,
I'll look
strip down to
disgusting,
bra
like
and panties and
eating a burger, mustard and ketchup on my face. Like,
Well,
I look gross, and they're just like drooling at their table, and sometimes it's so uncomfortable. I'm like, let's just get out of here, let's go, which sucks, because like then you have to go back to your house and it's just you and that other person, and you don't want to isolate yourself like that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, I want to go back to one thing you said earlier about, like, you were born, your dad came into the delivery room with, you know, hockey stick or whatever.
Metaphorically.
Yeah. No, I didn't take it literally. But to my point earlier, when I said, you know, make it about me again, I said, like, oh, I was raised by a gay man, so I know how to fix shit, right? People who want to learn how to fix shit are going to fix shit. People who are gay are going to be gay. People who want to play sports that are gay are going to fucking play sports. It doesn't really matter. You know, yes, I will be more inclined to do, like, my father worked in hotel sales. I work in hotel sales. He was a huge gardener. I love to garden. I am a fucking tomato garden. I love, you know, whatever. Not as much to the extent of him, but so you do pick up certain things, but literally you don't have as much fucking influence on your kids as you think you do.
Yeah.
And
also
we do put too much blame on our parents too for what they did to us. It's like, get over yourself.
Your dad could have been like doing construction or doing traditional masculine things. I know plenty of gay guys that do those type of traditional masculine things. I think because I'm more of a creative, I just view things like I'll do manual labor if I have to, but I'm not like, can't wait to like clean the lawn. Like I'm more like, I want to make something, you know?
I have a lot of my friends who are in the trades, and it's great because, you know, I'll have like my bathrobe on and they'll be fixing my, you know, my whatever. And, you know, but I like to give them the work, you know, if they're doing it in my house or whatever, but it's just like, that's not because my dad was gay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was because
what came first, the chicken or the egg?
You know, it's like, I just didn't. And then my grandfather could fix fucking anything. And I hung out with him a lot when I was a kid.
Couldn't fix a gay son.
Exactly. And I just did not pay attention to him. He could fix cheap Sicilian immigrant, and he was raised with 7 brothers off the boat and they they had to fend for themselves. They couldn't afford to buy new shit, so they had to fix cars or whatever. And he tried to teach me when I was a kid, and I was like, fuck off, I'd rather do whatever. We would hang out and I'd help him mow lawns and stuff like that, but I never listened to him. So but if I wanted to and I listened to him, I would be in a much better position today to fix shit and do that. But I wasn't into it. Just because you were raised by these certain people that do certain things. Yeah, you might be more inclined to follow in their footsteps in certain aspects, but it's not set in stone.
You might be a learner that learns a different style. So it's like, for me, I actually have to be doing it. I could watch you like fix the fridge 100 times, but I need to be doing it myself for those steps to be internalized. Like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. So everyone is different the way it learns.
And the people my friends of mine that are in the trades, they'll make jokes and stuff. And I'll always say like, "Oh, my salesman hands." They have never picked up a hammer. Or my friend will say, "No, I don't have small hands. They're just not like not filled with grease and stuff." No, there's nothing to do with the size or the look of them. It's the fact that they don't.
How you use them.
Yeah,
and everything.
Yeah, no.
I will say that's like one of the biggest thing that attracts me to my girlfriend right now is she is like in local 7 iron worker. She could fix anything under the sun. Hang it. I can even hang up like a photo frame without like making it look crooked. So it's really nice like having someone that it can do anything themselves. And it's a woman, it's not a man. And a lot of women date guys so that they can help them set up their TV stand and everything. It's definitely a bonus. And there's something very sexy about being able to do something yourself. You gain that self-confidence.
And I talked about this too with a friend of mine, like traditional gender roles are not that's not a bad thing. Like, no. I'm not saying that they have to be pushed upon us, but if a woman wants to be a stay-at-home mom and a homemaker, that's okay if that's her choice. But it gets almost, now that we're on the other side of like, that everything needs to be accepted, which I'm totally on board with. But also when it's traditional, that's still okay too.
It's like a survival tactic too. Like, men used to be hunters and women were the gatherers.
Dude, have you ever looked at like Lyons?
And that's kind of like developing that's how like developing those gender roles, it didn't come out of nowhere. A lot of that used to be survival tactics, like how are you going to survive in the world, and then a lot of it became, oh no, that's how it is, no matter what.
Look at Lyons. Like, women do they raise the kids, they hunt for the food. Men can't birth a baby. They fucking fight.
There's biology to that. Men can't have a baby. Women can have a baby. Men are physically stronger than women. Like, there is simple biology to these things. I think people, or not people, but like maybe the whole gender role thing just kind of got run through a little bit too much and not actually dissected for where it was developed.
That's the problem too, is like when you're born as a woman who can, I think you're internally wired that way from your genetics, and that's just who you are. Your girlfriend or fiance or whatever it is she's inclined to be able to fix stuff, but back 50 years ago, if you just, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. Now it's just accepted to do whatever you want. But if she was wired to be a straight woman that stayed at home mom and be a homemaker and a mother, and that's fine. That's great too. Right. Like, everything's okay. But,
however you got to do it. Yeah.
I think we've had so much inequality with men and women historically that now when it's like, well, my wife's a stay-at-home mom, what she needs to be able to work. What do you think? Your normally gets to work, but there's people that feels authentic for them, and we don't have to be having toxicity amongst the genders and against the genders, because the more like the genders are at odds with one another instead of blending naturally, the more issues there are. Because when you hear about when women become too masculinized, and it's like, no, I'm a boss bitch. Like, I don't want a man to do this for me. That's fine if that's your nature, but if you're doing that because you're trying to overcompensate or you feel like you were wronged in some way, you're also doing a disservice to yourself, I think, because you're going against your nature because of politics or culture or whatever it is.
So my grandfather, who was a Sicilian immigrant, very chiseled, like, men, whatever. I don't know if you've ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages. It's like the way he showed his love was fixing something for you. He didn't kiss you. He didn't hug you.
That's his love language.
Yes, that's his love language.
Right.
So
acts of service.
Yeah.
His was acts of homophobia.
Yeah. But beating up gays. I mean, that was one of his favorite pastimes.
Aww. So sweet.
Yeah. But no, he would buy, when I was a kid, he would go to a fucking yard sale and he bought me a girl's bike, brought it home, fixed it, whatever, did everything and painted it red. And then when it started chipping, it was pink. I'm like, you bought me a girl's, but but that was his way to show me love. He never hugged me. I don't think he hugged me once in my life, but he would do shit like that. So but that's okay, but that's how he, so it's like, I think and then I might have to edit this.
It's not like he never loved you. Like,
right.
He showed it in different ways.
He never told me he loved me, but I knew he did. Right. And at the same time too, this might need to get edited out for, but I think you need a little bit of toxic masculinity in your life. I think there's some positive to that. There is toxic femininity too. There's toxicity everywhere, right? But I feel like, I don't know, like you almost need to see the dark side to understand how you're supposed to be, right?
So it seems like an extreme way. Like you could literally swing an extreme feminist way, an extreme masculine way. You think that is like, that's a necessity.
To understand the importance of balance, I feel that maybe a positive spin. I'm not saying you should be toxic, or use toxic masculinity or force it or whatever, but I'm saying the fact that it exists, like people stay sober because people relapse, right? People become better men. Men become better men because they see pieces of shit, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so
women become better women because they see, women's rights.
Happy with yourself.
Exactly. And being happy with yourself.
Yeah,
totally.
Getting the extreme dosage of masculinity has empowered you and
to dial it back,
given you the skills in a lot of ways where it's like, no, let him like choose what color he wants his room to be. Let's not just paint it blue. Like, let him choose. Yeah. You're saying that having that has been a lot of your framework of how you operate your life, and it's given you that willpower to be like, no, I know I can also use. It's like I can go meditate every single day for 3 hours until I dissociate from my ego and go, well, I can't have a drink because I am the drink. Or that like the more masculine approach, I'm going to use my brute willpower and force to not have a drink or whatever it is to keep yourself accountable. And that's what works for you. And it's not toxic because it might be further into the masculine side of the spectrum. It's like we don't all have to be existing at the exact center point. We are all somewhere on that, but it doesn't mean we're all in the middle of it.
Yeah. No, naturally. Absolutely not. Like, and some people swing one extreme to the next. I grew up with a single dad who, was very masculine. He made jokes all the time that like if me or my sister ended up being gay, he would send us to a camp.
Is it just you and your sister?
I don't know if I think he was kidding, maybe.
But no, it's just you and your sister. So there's no boys involved, single dad?
No, just me and my sister.
I'm going to ask why was he a single dad? Single dad, you talked about your mother. So your mother's around and
my mom and my dad were kind of like, they always said like oil and water. It just... They both were never in the right headspace to be with one another, and they split up when I was really young. Okay. Yeah, my mom and my dad finally got divorced in first grade, and my sister.
They were together young, huh?
Huh?
When did they get married? In kindergarten? They got divorced in first grade?
Oh, no. Sorry. When I was in first grade.
Share these blocks, then you don't have the building blocks.
Listen. I grew up with a single toddler. No, so my dad was a single.
They got divorced in the first grade. It's got rough quick.
Let me talk. All right. So my dad was a single dad, and he taught.
About me.
My sister was very girly, I guess. Like I was always like watching him do yard work, and he made me mow the lawn barefoot when I was like 9-10 years old. Everyone's honking their horns like, yeah, you go, Dad. I'm helping my dad with the lawn. I like to watch him how he pays bills, like how he just like goes out to bars, and he can basically go up and talk to anybody. And I feel like I got a little bit of that aspect from him, and I thought that was so cool. And I developed a lot of my masculine skill traits from my dad that I wouldn't want to take back. I love them. My sister, on the other hand, was like, ew, I don't want to do lawn work, or, wasn't really as interested in that as I was. But I mean, I did a lot of stuff. Like I was the one always cleaning the house, doing the dishes, laundry.
Like you should have been.
Yeah. Going where I should have been. No, well, we didn't learn how to cook because my mom was never around. So my dad would be like, do you want a baked potato in the microwave or a hot dog?
That's the other thing. Like me saying that I don't know how to, fix stuff because my dad was gay. Like my wife cannot cook. She cannot. I'm a very good cook, and I'm teaching. Make sure my kids know how to cook because that's how I show love. I cook.
Right.
I'll bake you. My friend had a baby.
I think that's a huge love language, cooking for somebody.
No. It's one of my favorite things to do. My friend had a baby. I dropped off a fucking lasagna to his house. Like that's, hey, I know it's having a baby, you have a couple kids. That's how I show love.
The time and the effort you put into it, and you're putting it for somebody else, not even for you to enjoy, for someone else. I think it's a very selfless act. It's a beautiful thing to cook for somebody else.
Anyways, but no, and growing up though, like you said, like I still go back to the point, like just because you're in a certain atmosphere, or environment, you could tend to go a way or another because, I was raised by this person that does this and is like that. But like you, for instance, your sister was a little bit more girly. You were, you adapt
From the jump.
Exactly.
Did my hair and makeup in like 3rd grade. She wanted to wax my eyebrows in 5th grade. I'm like, whoa. All right, let's settle down.
I always viewed you as like just as girly. I mean, you peed standing up. It's like that you do you. Like if that's what you like. I mean, I met her at the urinal. I was like, she seems like a nice girl.
Yeah.
My family, it was the same type of way where there was a standard of how a guy was supposed to be, and I guess
we put way too much pressure on our kids as fucking adults, man.
Yeah.
And parents.
Well, also parents are getting so much pressure of like, this is the way you got to teach your kid.
Now we're getting pressure from
it's
not just your
brutal.
family, it's from like Instagram.
And I'm not even a parent, but I look around and I'm like, settle down. Like my dad probably had me on his lap in the car of a driver's seat and I turned out just fine. Look at me. No, I'm just kidding. But like,
well, define just fine. No.
Right.
I mean, you hit the pole and you pulled in like,
yeah, I have minor brain damage. It's not a big deal. But like seriously, like people are way too hard on parents about how to raise their kids. It's out of control.
Before, when it's used to compare yourself to the other parents on the playground or school functions, now you're comparing yourself to the whole world.
Yeah, we used to just go to church on Sunday and compare to people. Now it's like at all times, right?
Church Sundays, that's when it would all go down?
No, but that's just like
sizing people up. Like,
that was like the where people sized people up back in the day, right?
Really?
It was like Sunday best. They go beat the shit out of their kids all week and then show up to Sunday.
Like my kid's way more better than your kid. Like
or
step it up.
They have the nicest clothes and it's all to keep up appearances to look like everything's okay. But then they have the most toxic or however you want to put it,
I
or
love God more.
dysfunctional.
Yeah. I remember my dad said at one point when I was in like high school. So like I remember like we had to start lifting at school, like because it was on the basketball team, so we had to lift, and I was like, I can't even lift the bar, like what? I can't even open the door to the gym, like I just like was weak, so I started like lifting with my dad, and we bonded over that. But I remember he said one time, he's like, don't ever come home if you're drunk, if you're high, or if you're gay.
No.
And I was like, well, 2 of those things I pregame before I started lifting.
I'm actually all of those right now.
But like, I was like, that's kind of weird. That's not usually Dare's slogan isn't like no drugs, no alcohol, no homosexuality. But like, that's what
that's actually like play like a champion today. It was like right in the locker room. It was like no dicks.
Yeah.
No dicks. You gotta, if you want to be in this,
basically don't put anything in your mouth.
Yeah.
Like, so I remember he said that, and that was the first time that it was like really verbalized and like really spelled out. Like, after I said a few years before I had a dream about kissing a guy, he had to be very direct. He's like, no more metaphors or analogies.
Well, I never had to worry about it because it skips a generation.
It's
the gay.
That could be
so
true.
my son or my daughter could be gay.
Well, I have a
can't wait. I'll be there for it.
I have a lesbian cousin on my dad's side and a gay uncle on my mom's side. So it's like, is there like dormant genes that are like can pair up, or like closeted chromosomes? I have a bit where
there's definitely a genetic component, like twins, or like it definitely runs in the family somehow, and whether or not you find out it's
like my dad
we're still waiting on
my
Anthony.
Dad getting upset that I'm gay. It's like, these are your genes. Like, come on now.
You gave me the gay,
it's
whether
like
or not you're gay or not.
Your closeted chromosomes made this.
Right.
Well, how many more people would be like, I don't know, like it's so much more acceptable now. Like even when I say my dad, he kept it stuff down because he was not supposed to, it was not okay. The time he lived in, everything like that. I just don't know how many more people would now. I guess it's happening more now.
It definitely feels like there's more acceptance, and there is to some degree. But I was living in Southern California for the last 10 years, and the acceptance that is portrayed there, or people believe there is in the rest of the world, is not accurate. So it's like you have your major cities that are these sanctuaries for LGBT people, and the people in these cities, I feel like they do not have an accurate view how the rest of the world still views being gay. Like we've definitely made progress. We're not like, there's not as many hate crimes, and there's gay marriage is legal and there's definitely progress that's been made. But once you leave these cities and go to more rural areas or like we're in the Northeast right now, we're not like in the South, but I was substituting at schools over the last few months, and all the kids are still using like gay slurs and using it as an insult.
Right.
And
does that offend you?
It doesn't offend me because it was weird because I felt like I was working
you guys are still on that? Like, haven't you updated your comedy at all? Or
yeah, like the kids would say like, Mr. D, like you're my favorite sub, but then I hear them like insulting each other for being gay. I was like, your favorite sub's a cock smooch. Like, how are you going to reconcile that?
Your favorite sub is a cum slut.
It didn't like hurt my feelings, but it almost felt like I was back in the closet in some way.
Right.
These were 6th and 7th graders. So like,
but do they even understand it though?
I
like,
feel
not
like,
saying it's okay, but
so.
like,
no,
they don't even know what they're
I don't
doing.
take it personally. And also I wasn't going to like talk about like my personal life with kids that age anyways.
Right.
So like, I wasn't
Screw your social studies. Here's how to suck a cock.
But they started it. So,
like,
you know.
I didn't want to like talk about my personal life with them anyways, even if like I had a girlfriend or a wife, like I wasn't going to talk to them about that anyways, just because of their age. But like, it did make me feel kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting kids to still kind of be like that.
Sure.
And
that's still stigma. Like they're still saying like, this is funny because this is wrong.
It's like you're less than, so that's the joke. And like they have different vernacular. Now it's like zesty. It's like, oh, he's being zesty.
What?
It's like they have a lot of different words
I've
now.
never
It's like,
even heard
oh,
that.
like he's being zesty. Like that's like he's acting gay. So like they have those kind of words that they use. I'm like, oh, I like that. Like I'm gonna start using that.
That's
like
a very nice way of saying gay. Like I'm just zesty.
it's like, oh, he's being zesty, or it's like everything's on God,
Spicy.
on God. So it's like on God, no crosses. So like I'll like
no cap. Is that still a thing?
No cap like isn't as popular. It's on God, no crosses. So like I would use that sometimes. Like,
What does no crosses mean?
It means like
no crisscross applesauce.
exactly.
Yeah,
it's like
I
you
think
can't.
so.
It's like if
I've
you
never
told
heard
me
that
you're
either.
a millionaire and you're like, I am like on God, no crosses. Like you swear to God and like you can't be crossing your fingers or anything.
Well, we had dumb shit.
I
Well,
know-
I want to say
yeah.
we had dumb shit because I'm an old man, so probably had different shit. But every generation. has.
Right.
It's all the same idea. So it's like the kids. I liked being around them. It's like it's funny, and I love when anyone is like animated and being funny and being themselves. I love that. But just hearing like zesty, even I was like, whatever, like that doesn't bother me. But hearing it keep like, what are you like gay dude? Like get away from me, like that kind of stuff. It's like
That would piss me off.
I found that
would
to
really
be
bother
like
me.
Should have beat the shit out of the 6th
I just
graders.
kind of found it-
Seriously.
I don't know. I was like, I'm gonna
just
stuff
kidding.
myself into a locker. Like I can't be here anymore.
It gave me a lot of flashbacks. No, I mean, I work with kids, on the spectrum or with disability. So it's definitely a little different there. But I also work at a school where it's not just kids on the spectrum. It's kids not on the spectrum that have behavioral disorders, came from really bad homes, came from, juvie, all of that. And that's where I run into a lot of that like homophobic talk and, racist talk, all of it. I mean, like that never goes away just in society. Like people are still writing, threats in the bathroom or Nazi signs. And like, I mean, tale as old as time. It's like,
That's all based on their own insecurities.
just like update your comedy a little bit. It's a little like old. you
Yeah,
know?
and also it's obviously the demographics. I think if I was subbing at a private school in Santa Monica or Beverly
Assabet.
Hills, Assabet, it's probably still like that.
Trashabet.
Where the school I was at, I'm assuming they had parents that were that kind of talk like that at home, so they have to learn it from somewhere.
They learn it from somewhere.
Well, you'd be
absolutely.
surprised at what kids can learn from stupid YouTube and shit.
Yeah, we didn't have that. I mean,
No.
maybe you definitely didn't have that growing up, but like
When I was reading the hieroglyphics on the wall,
Cuneiform.
I learned to read through the bathroom stalls. No, and Stevie, would you say like going back to Western LA, right? Would you say that's the same there? That like if you were to substitute there, you would never hear stuff like that? Or
I think you'd hear a lot less of it because I feel like those schools have a zero tolerance policy for it. It's like
Really?
if you call someone a fag or faggot, we can consider that a hate crime and you're out of the school. Like
Wow.
I think they just have way more zero tolerance. Like it's for them, it's the same thing as like saying the N-word.
Mhm.
But I feel like in other schools, it's kind of one of those things where they have like the hallways had signs like we are a zero tolerance.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's all BS.
we support LGBT and everything. And
When you're here, you're gay too.
yeah, but it's like the kids weren't acting like that. And you can't blame the kids. They're learning it from somewhere. And it's also like amplified when they're in that group mentality. So I think we are seeing it being weeded out more and more. When they have kids, let's say there's even 50% less of that. Like they're not saying the full faggot. Maybe they're saying faggot.
You need to like have some understanding of like people who are at least willing to. You can't just be like, that's a hate crime. You're out of the fucking school. Like there needs to be some like softer like understanding on that, like
because they don't even understand what it means at the time.
Like
you repeat whatever bad word. It's like a lot of reinforcement. I'm in ABA, so that's all I think about is like if you get bad reactions or a ooh or a don't say that, especially when you're a kid trying to get attention, you're like, that's my golden ticket. I'm gonna say that all the time, even though they don't know what the hell it means. I called my dad a dumbass when I was like in 5th grade. I had no idea what it meant. My dad chased me around that house. Like I was like,
but was he being a dumbass?
He was totally being a dumbass.
Then it's kind of on him.
So you did know
my son learned. My son's 6.
Touche.
My son's 6. He just learned the word dickhead somehow. Wasn't me. Swear
Where
to God.
do you think it's from? YouTube?
On crosses, all God, no God, whatever the fuck.
On cross, no.
On God,
no
cross.
God.
No God.
All crosses,
all crosses, no God. That's mine.
All
But he
cross,
was just
no
like,
God.
so, it was of my like cousin's house or whatever, and they were drinking, cooking out, and somebody might have said it, you're a dickhead or whatever, and so it was. Dude, he was 6 years like, stop being a dickhead. It was hilarious, and I
was so
laughed, and I'm
funny.
like, shit, I should stop.
Right, because then they're
you
like,
know.
ooh, they laughed. And then
Yeah.
say it
Oh,
again.
Dad laughed because Dad's funny, and Dad's in every 6-year-old boy, like their dad is a superhero,
The
right?
idol.
Like
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
like unless he's a gay.
He's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I try to view like even this experience in the school and the fact that it's making me uncomfortable that they're talking like that. And it's giving me flashbacks to when I was in middle school or high school. I try to look at that from the most holistic perspective. And it was like, what does this mean for me? Obviously, I still have internalized shame that I can't just be like, guys, I'm gay. You can't be saying that. Instead, like, I'm like, yeah, faggot. Like, no, I'm like,
Do you say that to your kids? Like, I'm gay. Like,
no, like
no. Okay.
I'm uncomfortable to say it because like they hype me up and they love Mr. D. And I'm like, I'm still in the closet. Like I haven't made like as much progress as I think I have because these kids, I want to be accepted and liked by 12 and 13-year-olds. Apparently.
How do I reach these kids?
I think there's part of it though that's on us, even as straight in the straight community. We put too much emphasis on sexuality.
Yes.
As our part of our identity.
Right.
Like there's too much emphasis on, like I even said at my dad's eulogy, I'm like, I can sit here and talk about his sexuality and what that meant to me in this, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter enough.
Just because maybe you can't fix something in your house doesn't mean you're less of a man. Or just because I'm a girl that doesn't love to get an address every day, that doesn't make me less of a woman.
At the time, me and my wife moved into my house, and we had this fridge that like is hooked up to like water and like ice or whatever. Anyways, I was trying to hook it up to the fridge, right? The water source, and I couldn't do it. And I walked to my wife. I turned on the water when I shouldn't have. It's spraying everywhere. Walking to my wife, I'm like, yeah, I had a little problem. She's like, do you want me to call my dad? And it was such a fucking letdown for me. I'm like, no, I'll do it. And then like, I go back out, I tinker with it for a little while. I walk back. I'm like, yeah, I think you should call your dad.
Like, do you feel like
I like held the flashlight for him, but like fixed it.
Do you feel like if you were like on a guy's trip, or like, oh, and they're like, oh, dude, like say it's like you're on a bachelor party and the groom's like, we're all gonna build a house together. Like that's what I want to do for my bachelor party. Would you feel like self-conscious because you wouldn't be as natural?
No, when I'm rolling with a lot of my friends, there's a group of my friends that a lot of guys like in the trades, and it's not like I ever feel inadequate or I ever feel.
I kind of
like,
envy the people that are in trades.
Yeah, me
in a
too.
weird way. I feel like I'm like, you figured it out before I did.
Most of my college was me being closeted still and like socially and spiritually denying like who I am as a person. So I was still getting through my classes and everything, but I couldn't focus on anything.
Right.
I
And
couldn't
you almost
focus on-
don't know.
No,
Like you didn't, like looking back at it, retrospectively, like, yes, you can see the
Yeah.
roadblock you had
Yeah.
in school, but like during it, you're like, this is survival.
And some people escape to those venues and are like, I don't know myself, so I'm going to do everything I can to be good at basketball or good at, a certain getting my degree, all of that. But there is something to be said about you really are stagnant in your life in so many aspects if you're not true to who you are and being honest with yourself.
Yeah. Like I have a friend who, he was closeted throughout high school and college too. And he put all that energy into being obsessive with excelling in school, became the valedictorian of his high school, went to an Ivy League school, and he was able to channel all that energy. For me, I knew that I had to, if you want to go into comedy, you can go into it being closeted, but it's not going to be fun for you, and you're probably not going to be that good at it. And
Right.
I already knew that my anxiety was mounting and mounting and mounting because I entered the closet, let's say at the Togo Palazzi basketball camp in 5th grade. It was mounting and mounting pressure. And I was like, I want to live a free existence. And I know I need to unpack these things first before I go into any type of career path.
You know what's fucked up is like the happiest people I've ever met in my entire life are fully out of the closet gay people. Like literally like, and know from experience, not that my dad always had this, like, it almost seemed like this treated like aggression or irritability growing up. And he always was just like wicked dickhead, and all he wanted was
Or a
some dickhead,
dumbass.
right? Yeah. And then the last 10 years of his life were the happiest I ever saw him, and it's like, not to take away that like the family, like he always loved his kids and he loved my mom and all that. And we can go back over it, but I won't bore you again, but it's just like the happiest I ever saw him.
They're like, you're finally free.
You're
like, I almost
you're
like
finally
wish
free,
like,
in a
I was
way.
like, yeah, like, I don't know,
For-
to be.
For me, I remember feeling that like closeted anxiety, let's say up until like 11th grade. And then to make myself feel better, my goal was to achieve a social currency. I wanted to, that's when I started working on Bitcoin. No, that's what it sounded like I was about to say. That's when I discovered Ethereum. No, I wanted to have a social currency, and you're in high school, so that currency is partying, right?
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be ingratiated
158.
into the house party scenes. I wanted to be hanging out with the people that were seen as cool, had parties, were partying. I remember actually feeling, I was very closeted at that point, but I also remember feeling a lot of love and happiness because I had a lot of friends around me.
Yeah.
You know that age, like you're living with your friends, you're always with your friends. And I wasn't even being myself, but I still felt that love. And I felt very happy at that point.
We were
like,
very vulnerable in those moments too. Like you could do anything you want or dumb shit.
yeah.
And everyone was still like, "Oh, I love you, man."
There was a lot of love
There's a lot of love there.
that went around. And I remember even like telling my friend like years down the line, I was like, I feel like I was happier before I came out of the closet. And his response was, go back in. I was like, but I remember when I actually did come out. So this is how it happened. I was pledging a fraternity at BU, and I was like, this was like mounting anxiety with things because the Greek life, being in a fraternity, to me was like the pinnacle of like,
Your dad would have a boner just thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's all he wanted for you.
the rigor mortis. And I was doing the fraternity, and I always had so much pressure on me because self-inflicted, because I was like, I'm in the closet. Like, I don't want to like do a fraternity like this. Like, I don't want to be a closeted person doing this. So I ended up like, I got initiated into the fraternity, and then I had just like a mental break where I was like, I need to like exit school. I remember like when I was pledging, I remember being in class, like being in a lecture hall, hearing a voice in my head that like, you're a faggot, like you need to come out, like what are you doing? And it turns out it was one of the students behind me, but no,
It was me actually.
It was Gianni. I remember just being so stressed out that I had to like leave school for the semester, like drop the frat. I was like, I'm not in a good headspace. And I went home and I was upstairs like in tears, and my mom is like just asking me like, what's wrong? And then I finally just like came out with it. I was like, I'm racist. She's like, I know.
Me too.
She's like,
You
I
finally
know.
came
Now,
to grips.
now take that white sheet off your head. It's laundry day. No, I told her, I was like, I'm gay. And then she went downstairs and like told my dad. She's like, he just told me he's gay. My dad like grabbed his chest and collapsed on the floor.
Oh, he fainted?
He like blacked out and like
Oh
fell onto the
my
floor. I was like,
gosh.
I asked for a Barbie last Christmas. Like, this shouldn't be that much of a shock to me. No, but it's like that was
Wow.
his.
Well, you asked for Ken. Don't.
I asked
don't
for
be-
Ken. I was like, I don't want a Barbie. I want to sit on Ken's face.
Me too.
Makes it a little
I'm
better,
kidding, I'm
like-
kidding.
To go back to like what I was saying, or
Wow.
things that like were unexpected to him, like he didn't have any healthy coping mechanisms for information that was brought to him that he wasn't expecting. So it's like the basketball coach job going to someone else,
Right.
and that was just like the ultimate. It was one of his 3 agreements. Like, couldn't be drunk, high, or fagé.
Did he accept your other two brothers as what they did, or or was it a flaw in him that like it never was going to be good enough for his ex? You didn't, because I'm seeing, I
A
don't know,
little
I
bit of
never
the
met
middle
your
child
dad.
syndrome, because you are the middle child.
Yeah,
right?
I'm the middle. So my dad was like this with all my brothers to some extent. Like my older brother, when my older brother started losing his hair, my dad couldn't handle it because he took it on himself. That's like, this is a reflection of him and his
Wow.
fatherhood. It was like,
like he's failed
called
in some way.
Rogaine. It's like, it's nothing to do with
He
So
might feel
what
like
I
he's
think is,
failed
like-
in some way.
Yeah, but like,
yes.
in a sense too, like then it's really not you, it's him. Because
That's how I broke up with him.
yeah, right. If it's anybody, it's me. But like it's almost like he's never going to be happy. It was a character
Right.
defect on
Because
his
if
part.
those things
If it
are
was
going
you
to be
weren't gay,
life
it
or
was
death.
because of
There
this,
would
or
have been like
something else.
There would have been something else.
Right. You would have
he-
filled that either way.
He had a problem with
You know.
expectations. That was his
Exactly.
problem.
He put expectations and he viewed his children as a direct extension of him, where it's
Right.
like, what are people going to say that Michael's son is gay? And like, we were from a town where it's like a lot of chatter and
Like
everything.
he
yeah.
did something wrong. That's why. You're
Exactly. Like he did something wrong and he just couldn't handle it. So the next, like, I was 21, and then over the next like decade, it was really just like dealing with that shame and unpacking it. And there was a lot of other like family drama and issues with my parents' relationship that was going on around that time too. So it was I was living in LA at this point, and it was kind of like I had to deal with my own, coming to terms with myself, like without any real support, because
Right.
there was other drama at home, and I kind of had to just do it on my own. And then I kept it, just my family knew at that point, and I didn't even tell my brothers, but my dad was like writing in a journal, because my dad went to like a psychologist, and he was journaling about everything that was going on with me. And one of my brothers like found the journal, and that's how I got outed. I was like, what are you, Anne Frank? Like, why are you journaling? And then like, why are you in an attic? He's journaling, and like, that's what outed me to my brothers. And then
Wow.
my dad, I don't want anyone that listens to this that knows me or my family to like think that I'm disparaging in many ways, but this is just my truth. Like, my coming out was all about how's Michael handling this?
Right.
How's he handling
He's making
this?
it about himself,
It's
and
all
a
about
lot
him.
of parents
So-
do that.
And I begged my parents, do not tell anyone, like, do not tell anyone, I'm not ready for this. I feel like I could have like a heart attack. Like, please, I cannot handle any more than disclosing this to
Right.
you guys. Like, please. And then
It's your story to tell.
my dad
Yeah.
went and outed me to my entire like Italian family of like 50 other people, because he had to go there and just get it off his chest because he couldn't handle it. So it's like,
Because he didn't know what to do.
Well,
He
and
needs
a little
that
bit
help,
of
yeah.
that from my dad when he came out of the closet to me. He was ready to go to the top of his get on
Yeah.
the news and tell everybody. And I'm like, listen, like, you've been my dad, straight but divorced from my mom, for 55 years now, like, or well, for my whole life, whatever, however old I was at the time, 30 years, whatever. You need to like put on the landing gear and soft land on this. I'm okay with it, but can we all just like give it a week?
Oh, so
You
you
know-
thought he was moving too fast.
Yeah,
with the
because it
coming
was
out.
and I understood now from retrospect how much he needed to get this out.
Yeah.
And he's been waiting to tell me for
Yeah.
so long. And I accepted it and I was okay with it. Now he just wanted to and he would
I feel like I was kind of
he
like
had
that in a
come
way.
out party. Like, come on
Yeah.
over, we're going to have a cookout and I'm
Yeah.
just going to be my new self. And I got so drunk. It was right before I got sober. And I got so drunk that day and I took some benzos too. And I was just like,
Oh, that's a
yeah,
good time.
no. And I was just like,
Sounds
and even
fun.
my uncle called me the next day. He's like, what's going on? And I just like, I could like, and it wasn't that I wasn't okay. It was like feelings for my mom and just what people were going to think. And as much as, and you can be as liberal, left wing, acceptance, wearing a pride flag, being for the cause until somebody that close to you comes out. And then you really realize how fucking liberal you really are, right? Like, and how accepting you really are.
Or you question your own identity.
Yeah, and it's like, I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, your dad's gay, or your brother's gay, or yeah, that's awesome. Good for you, man.
I know.
But
Good
then
for
it's
you.
yeah, go suck that cock.
Gianni, where can people find you?
My Insta is at JahXB, JAHXBEE. That's
Okay.
my Insta.
Katie.
My Insta is at Katie_Lyons, LYONS 11. At Katie_Lyons 11.
This has been the D'Amico Show. We'll catch you guys next time.